vigilant day and night.
Chase your tail light. I'll be under your skin, letting you go for a while. Then I'm taking you in. It's like diamonds, a glimmer and punch. Shiny predator with a golden bullet. Space age girl machine. 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 Space age girl machine.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Where's my clapping hands? I don't know. I've lost everything. There it is. I really thought I was going to have this super, super cool, like, applause and laugh track and everything because I got this new microphone set up, everybody, and it came with the soundboard, but I can't figure out how to make it work to where you hear it. So there's that. Anywho, hey guys, welcome back to Comics and Cosmetics Live. I'm your host, Danny Sonstein, licensed cosmetologist and registered super nerd. And tonight, we are talking the science and spirituality of Dune. It's a pretty fascinating subject and one of my first nerdy loves, so I'm super stoked to talk about it. Pretty close to my heart. It is. It's really close to my heart. But before we go any further, big favor, huge. Please make sure you smash that like button. Please do that. Write down count. Smash the like button. If you're new, please consider subscribing. I'm kind of okay-ish. Yeah, I do stuff occasionally. Once a week, really. We got new videos every week. Most recently, yesterday, our Ewok video dropped, and my lovely little Ewok baby co-host, Tiny the Tot, co-hosted the whole thing with me. So he got to do his cosplay. He really does love his Ewok cosplay. Guys, also, there are brand new designs up on the merch store. There's a whole bunch. There's 5 new designs. One of them that I think the one that I'm most proud of, I should say, is the one that has my sign off on it. That's right. You can now buy a shirt or a Comics and Cosmetics mug that says, "I have to pee." Very exciting. Very exciting stuff. And of course, there's designs with the new badge and logo on it. There's Tiny dressed as an Ewok where it says "Yum Yum" on it. So definitely check that out. If you are interested in supporting the channel, we got some options other than the merch right now. You can join our Patreon. We have 3 different levels, and the lowest is only $3 a month. And every 3 months, every 3 months, you will get some kind of merch. Stickers, a mug, a hoodie. It depends on what level patron, whatever it's called, what tier you are. And of course, the higher the tier, the better the merch. But you also get behind the scenes, outtakes, stuff that YouTube and other socials don't get to see. So check that out. And if that doesn't work for you, we also have this QR code right here. See, right there. You can scan that QR code and you can tip me as little or as much as you like. And there's also options to tip Tiny some cheese. The dog loves cheese. He works really hard for that cheese. Ask Nadia. She She got him some cheese, and it was well earned. And he gave her a heck of a thank you. So check that out, if you will. And if that doesn't work, you can also go to this link down here and buy me a coffee. You can follow us on all the socials. We're everywhere like a venereal disease, and we're not going away. So follow us on Twitter, on the Ticket Talk, on Instagram. We're on Threads now. Just type in comics and cosmetics and you'll find it, because I'm there. All right, guys. Without further ado, let us invite our guests in. I've got some awesome guests this evening. First, let me get myself set up here so I don't get like that. Okay, so first we have Jacob Ironside. What's up, Jacob?
Good evening. Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell us a little about yourself for those in the front room.
I run the channel Jacob Ironside, and I get people together. We do deep dives, classic movies. So, good stuff.
That sounds really cool. That sounds like something I would be totally on board for.
Yeah. Got to get you on then.
We're kind of doing that now, so right on. All right. Let's see. And this is your first time on the show, right?
Yep, first time. Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, we'll have you that 5-timers jacket in no time, buddy. It's
right.
Heavily sought after. This fictional jacket. Oh, there it is. Oh, man, that
nice.
is the 5-timers jacket, tailored. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Double-breasted.
Miami Vice style.
Hell yeah. And next we have Blake. Blake, actually, I think when I was in Red 5, he was the first person to invite me on a show that wasn't Row. So, I'm very excited to have old Blake on here. Me scroll down to my laugh track. I'm just kidding. It was the applause track. Hi, how you doing?
What's going on? It's good to see you, Danny.
Oh, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. It's been crazy. I've been crazy busy. Yeah. It's good to be here.
Tell us what you've been busy with.
Life, mainly. It hadn't been Dork Wars, the podcast, I'll tell you that. But we just haven't been able to get it going. I've done a couple lives here and there, but our audio show has kind of suffered a little bit. We hadn't put out an episode in months, but I do have an interview with I can't remember the kid's name because it was about a month ago. The kid, the baby Luke Skywalker from episode 3. I did an interview with him that I need to get out there. No,
that's cool.
That is so
it was
awesome.
Neat. Yeah, it was a cool experience.
I had interviews that I was lined up to schedule with, believe it or not, Katie Sackhoff and Phil Lamar. Yeah. And then the SAG strike happened. Guess what? They're not doing interviews.
I'm sure not. I'm sure they're not.
Yeah, I only waited like 2-3 months to schedule, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Yeah. Everything's fine. Okay, guys. Now, I do have their links in the description below, so do us all a favor. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to both of them. Now, Blake, you're going to be on the show, like, for the next few weeks. Just looking at the schedule. Like,
yeah, I think so.
I've got you down for Comics Redacted for this Friday. And then we're going to try to redo Comic Book Clash next month. I'll have to pull I left my schedule on the other side of the room. And you know what? It's not that important at this moment. So I think we'll be fine. Let's say hello to the chat really, really fast. We've got Nadia. Hello, lady. Love her. And we've got Ember. What's up, Ember? And Wesley. What's up? And Mimi herself. Mimi is here. I don't see Debo, but it's fine. It's fine. Hype man Debo's not here. We'll deal with off-screen producer Amy. This is off-screen producer Amy. And that's all we've got for now. But you know what? Okay. Aiden is the name of baby Luke. Wesley
Yeah,
said.
and Leia. He was baby Luke and Leia. Was Aiden Barton.
Really? That is so cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
So cool.
I've got it recorded. I just have to put it all together. I had internet issues, and you just got to
Oh, yeah.
make it work. Yeah.
That's a
But we're
pain
making
in
it
the-
work. Yeah. And then having the time to edit the thing.
Oh, don't get me started. I spent like,
I know.
I want to say 72 hours total editing the Ewok video.
Oh, gosh. I can see it, though. It's very pretty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. But it was when you're trying to do family stuff and you remember getting up in the morning, like 8:30, grabbing some coffee, coming in here, and you start editing. And the next thing you know, your family's like, hey, what's for dinner? I'm like, dinner? It's like 1 o'clock. And you look at the time, it's 5:30.
Yeah.
Whoops. Whoopsie-doo. All right, guys. So, the science and spirituality of Dune. For those who are not familiar, Dune by where did my brain go? It went over there. Yeah, so Dune is actually one of the first like really expansive, super popular sci-fi franchises. It started off as books, and why can't I say his name? What's the author's name? It's
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert. That's it. I don't know why I couldn't say Frank Herbert for some reason. I'm getting old. That's what it is. So Frank Herbert wrote. There's 6, I think, total. And is there 6? I think.
I think it is.
So
It's 5 or
there's
6.
yeah, I'm having old people difficulties is what I'm having. So there's 6 novels, and they are incredibly intricate and expansive. And it's kind of like, I put it up there with Tolkien and even George R.R. Martin,
Right.
how immersive it is. Like he's come up with these languages and these in-depth religions and mythos and so many different species and histories. It's so rich and fascinating. It's hard to put them down. But I got to thinking one night after my bedtime gummies, and I started like really thinking about, you know, the religion, the spirituality behind it, and what led to, you know, we'll say present day life in the universe of Dune. And it really struck me as fascinating. Like, it's very, would you say, I don't know, would you guys say kind of Middle Eastern? It's got a lot of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Middle Eastern Buddhist
Mhm.
mixtures.
Yeah.
So his son wrote a few more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they stretch into the 2000s, I believe. Close
Really?
to. Yeah.
Where have I been? Having babies. That's what I was doing.
It's been, I haven't read the entire series in probably 10 years.
Yeah,
But-
it's been a long time since I read the books. I'm talking like high school. Like I remember sitting in my creative writing class and a guy behind me was reading Dune. I was like, "Oh, I love that." And he's like, "Well, have you read the other books?" And I went, "Other
The other
books?"
books? Yeah.
Cool. So let's start with how do I phrase this that makes sense for other people and not just in my head? Let's start with how the people of the Empire are living their lives, because they do have some technology,
Right.
but they
No
don't
thinking
have,
technology.
right. They don't have computers, like actual computers, nothing with artificial intelligence, nothing that can calculate or somehow gain artificial intelligence. Because, does anyone want to?
Yeah, a war like fighting the Terminators happened.
The robot apocalypse
Yep.
became upon them. And
Right.
they didn't want to ever become dependent on that again. So they created rules in the Empire that no computer, like no computers. So they developed this class, this profession of people called mentats. And the mentats have always blown my mind because it is divine intervention if I can do simple addition in my head without help. And these mentats, their religion is computing facts, figures. So they've replaced actual, inorganic computers with human computers.
Right. And they compute in seconds. I mean, they're that quick.
Yeah. Like my one of my favorite parts in Denis Villeneuve's Dune is when, he asks him, how much is this costing the Emperor? And he blinks, his eyes go white, and he says, da 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 da, Solaris. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. Now, don't the mentats ingest spice? Like, isn't that
I
something they do?
believe so.
I think a lot of people ingest it.
Right, but the
Yeah.
mentats, it's like a ritual for them. Like it helps them focus and calculate, and didn't it like stain them?
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
some kind of juice
Mm.
that sharpens their mind where they can compute faster,
Right.
and it stains their lower lip.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that Denis Villeneuve didn't really show, other than he did have that little tattoo
Right.
on his lip, but I kept looking for the Kool-Aid stains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't have them. No, the mentats are really cool though.
Mhm.
I like. I'm someone. I'm a land surveyor by profession. So mathematics in my head's kind of where I'm at. And just when they hear something, they can spit that right out. I'm like, dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But numbers are very much their religion. Numbers and
Mhm.
budgets and
Yeah.
computing and just math.
Yeah.
Right.
Facts. Knowing they have to know literature. They have to know all the stuff. Just and to be able to spit the entire contents of their brain out at one time, at any time. So it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. It like I said, it really, really blows my mind. I have nothing but respect for people who do that for a living, like accountants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing,
How do
guys.
you do that? And
And
yeah,
something too, the mentats are like conditioned to do this.
Mhm.
And then you have the twisted mentats, which are the conditioning has been broken down and are like insane smart people.
And they are insane.
Yeah.
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 It does like that juice. If you hit it too much, it makes you crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
just, and yes, I do love Denis Villeneuve's. What's wrong with me today? I love his interpretation of it. His version. It's really, it's beautiful. It really is, and I'm really excited for part 2.
Yeah.
That trailer just nailed it. I was a little disappointed I didn't get to see Fade in the first one. All I could think of was, the 1984 version with Sting. Beautiful
Yeah. Right.
Fade.
Yeah.
Like, where's beautiful Fade? But we're getting him in this one. And Florence Pugh. She's the princess, and I think that's perfect. It's just
Yeah.
But yeah, I do need the juice. Maybe that's my problem is I've had
Need
too
the
much
Something
spice.
about the new one that I kind of didn't like at first was the
Mhm.
look of the Harkonnens. The
Yeah.
bald, no
Yeah, they
hair
didn't look. They're supposed
on
to be
them.
redheaded.
Yeah.
Because,
They're just
yeah,
they're just
and Thade is supposed to be really attractive.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think it's more showing what's on the inside of the Harkonnens.
Yeah, you might be right because
I,
they're the
I mean,
worst.
it was just a thought I had. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's a really good. That's a really good thought because yeah, that just makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I do love redheads, and I would like to see some red hair. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's
Me too.
fine. Um, but in juxtaposition of the mentats, you have the Bene Gesserit. Now it's like it is like Game of Thrones in the respect that everyone has an agenda and everyone has ulterior motives. They've got sneaky shit going on that, don't tell anybody, but this is what
Yeah.
we're doing. Everyone's got shit going on behind the scenes that they don't want anyone else to know about to, reach this agenda. And she she did. She brought me my juice. So thanks for the blue moon. Off-screen producer Amy. Um, but like I said, everybody has this grand plan going on behind the scenes, and I
Right.
mean literally everyone.
Everybody.
Probably not the Atreides. The Atreides are the only ones who are like they know something's up, but they're too honorable.
Yeah.
They're just gonna
They're doing their duty.
yeah,
Yeah.
doing their duty.
Yeah.
um, but the Bene Gesserit are probably my favorite because it's not just the very, very sneaky.
Yeah.
It's that I gotta wait for my camera. There we go. It's the fact that they have been working this plan for like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it entails not just training and religious practices, but genetic manipulation.
Yeah.
They are breeding specific people to reach this savior, this Quetzalcoatl. And what I love, and this is actually something that I kept with me like my whole life, and it sounds so weird, but the Buddhist part I feel like really comes into play a lot with the Bene Gesserit in one aspect, and that's the complete and utter control over yourself, control over your emotions, control over your reactions. Like it's okay to feel and sense these things, but you have to control your reaction to it. For example, when she has Paul put his hand in the box
Right.
and she says, pain awaits you. And he feels the pain. Like he describes it, it feels like his flesh is melting off the bone. And all he keeps chanting is this Bene Gesserit mantra that I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will let my fear wash over me, and all that will be left is me. And I actually, as a kid, I had a lot of surgery. And so I was in a lot of pain. And I remember watching that. And the next time I had surgery, I was in pain. I actually just laid there and closed my eyes. And I would say that over and over again. Damn it, if it doesn't work. Like it really does help. But I love that they have everyone, especially the Bene Gesserit, they have these really awesome qualities, these really helpful, grand qualities, but then also they're psychopaths.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
so sinister, man. It's too much. I mean, like they put the word out like about messiahs and this, that, and the other to like they are manipulating the universe from the seat of the
using
emperor.
religious fervor to, you
Yeah.
know, move their goals along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. They make it seem like it's your idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that way their hands are clean, they're blameless. You know, it was your idea. I mean, think about it. That is a very feminine quality, is that kind of passive aggressive.
Right.
You know what would be really cool? You know what I was thinking?
You guys
Listen,
need a messiah.
that's how my grandma taught me to get what I want out of Dave, is make it think it's his idea. But it's a very, he really understood that it's a very feminine power to have.
Yeah.
Just very
Yeah.
quietly and patiently, passively,
And
leave
they're
a
constantly
suggestion.
working in the background,
Mhm,
subtly.
mhm.
Yeah.
And
Infinite
people
pain.
outside of their group don't even fully understand what they
Yeah.
can do. And they keep it
And
a
then more than
secret,
likely
which is-
they're under their influence. I mean,
Yes.
more than likely. I mean, that,
And they have so many. What were those fish assassins? There were women. They're not fisher wives. They were the fish assassins. I don't know why I can't ever get that name right. Like I said, it's been years since I read these books.
I know
But
what
they,
you're talking about.
yeah, they even have their own. I'm going to Google it. To the goo goo box, is the normie would say. Let's see. Dune fish speakers. That's it. The fish speakers. And they're like their personal assassins, and they're so cool.
Yeah.
They're so cool, and they look so badass. Like, here, let's pull this up so everybody can see. WEBP. Whoever invented that format, your mom is a hoe. That is such a stupid format. Well, that one is okay.
They're
This is a
probably
JPEG. So
Benny Gesserit. They probably are.
yeah,
Your mom's a
probably.
Benny Gesserit.
Your mom's a Betty Jesuit. Oh, God, she said that. She said it. Okay, here we go. Let's check out the fish speakers. So the fish speakers I always thought were really cool, like
Yeah.
badass, and they're
Dude,
all
if I was-
women.
I'd be so scared.
Yeah, and they're all women also. But the Bene Gesserit, they believe that the savior is going to come. This Quetzalcoatl. I can never say it right.
Yeah.
Like if I try to say it right, I'm going to really make an ass out of myself. Let me drink another beer and then I'll do it again. Then I'll feel comfortable making an ass out of myself.
Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah.
Haddock.
But they believe, this is the crazy thing. This is the thing that always kind of, I don't know, I struggled with, was that the Bene Gesserit have a way to see the universe. They can look to the future. They can look to the past if they meditate correctly, take their spice, their daily spice vitamin. And men don't have this power. Men can't have this power until the Quetzalcoatl comes around.
That's right.
So, like, how do you guys fucking know that? You're denying it. You're saying abomination to all these other men.
Planning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
And they
their-
can manipulate whether they have a male or female child.
Yes.
So
Right.
if someone's gonna do it, it's their, someone really thinks, hey, I've got the Quetzalcoatl right here. Like they must really believe it because they can choose to have a male child.
And they think they can control him too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They want him to use as a pawn to control the universe.
Yeah. And that, I think, is the great underpinning for the entire series, is that they thought that their problems came with AI, with the robot apocalypse. They thought if they get rid of AI, they get rid of all these thinking computers, then they're not going to have evil. They're not going to have these problems anymore. But the fact of the matter is, it was never the computers in the first place. Who made
Yeah.
the computers?
Right.
You know, the ability to do evil is always there. It's
Right.
all based on decisions and choices that you make. So it was kind of like putting a blindfold on as soon as they decided, okay, no more computers. We're going to do this all naturally and spiritually,
Right.
and we're going to be really good. But what that did was it gave them this false sense of security. And so everyone's thinking, well, nobody's going to expect it,
Yeah.
because so we'll just be really quiet about it and no one will see it coming. But everybody's doing the exact same thing, except the Harkonnens. They're really out there with it. They're like, yeah, I'm
Oh, yeah.
fucking evil.
Yeah.
What of it?
And I can respect that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can at least respect
I mean,
that.
the first step is admission.
That's right.
And if anything else, they're not hypocrites.
No.
No.
But they're
But-
just as. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that. I mean, just all these factions, that even the ones we've talked about already, they're all conditioned to do this. Like even the Bene Gesserit, you know, they're born to be able to do this, but they actually have to hone their skills.
Yeah.
They have to condition themselves. So it really is a religious practice. All of these factions really have a religious practice to what
Yeah.
they're doing to get them where they need to be. Like it's not just they're born and that's it.
No.
And I think that's where, not where, but why I decided, you know, I really want to talk about this, and specifically the science and spirituality behind it, because they're very interchangeable in the universe of Dune. Science and spirituality, it's kind of like when Thor says that, you know, magic is just science we haven't figured out yet. You know, I come from a place where they're one and the same. That's similarly with Dune.
Yeah.
Spirituality and science are very, very interconnected. But to me, it was like after the robot wars, after Judgment Day, they made this conscious decision to not only stop using the computers, but hey, we need some Jesus. We need some space Jesus up in here. And that's our problem. If we have some space Jesus, then we'll all be nicer to each other and we won't go hungry again and blah, blah, blah. But all they've done is just kind of make that their excuse.
Yeah.
In a way. But the spirituality, I mean, really, it's hard not to see it as just stunning. It's really beautiful, that the tapestry that he's woven with not just the Bene Gesserit, but with the Fremen. The Fremen are kind of this allegory for the Jewish people.
Yeah.
You know, they're stuck in the desert. They're put upon. They've been promised this great reward, this promised land, and they're waiting for the Lisan al-Gaib. Did I say that right? Lisan al-Gaib. Oh, good job.
The one from the outer world or something.
Yeah, the one from the outer world. So it's so connected but separate at the same time, and it will make your brain melt if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think taking the computers out of it is what made that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Convergence between science and spirituality. You take the computers out, and now, you know, just like back in the day when people were very, they couldn't explain things,
Mhm.
and they turned to religion to explain things.
Yes.
Well, spirituality and science were one and the same at that point when you figure out those phenomenon, and that's kind of what's happening here, with Dune.
You've got a really excellent point. You've
Right.
got a really excellent point. But okay, let's talk about Paul. We have to talk about Paul. I mean, we were going to talk about him eventually, but he's very central to pretty much everything we're talking about. Not just because he is the first antagonist of the first main antagonist of the series, but because one, he was birthed by a Bene Gesserit who chose to have a male child. She was instructed by Mother Superior to only have girl children because of the breeding program. She was supposed to have a girl, and that daughter was supposed to be married off to a Harkonnen, and then that daughter was supposed to have the Kwisatz Haderach. But she didn't. She absolutely fell in love with Leto Atreides, Paul's father, and she wanted to make him happy. And he wanted a son, like most men do, especially ones who are in a royal lineage, an heir. So she chose to have this boy child. Oopsies. Silly girl. And so not only is he, birthed by a Bene Gesserit, he's an Atreides. He's also trained as a mentat.
Yep.
And he
And
started...
Bene Gesserit, some Bene Gesserit training too.
Yes. That's right.
Yes.
She started training him.
He starts his training, yeah.
Jessica.
Hey, she knew what she was doing.
She's so ballsy. I love Jessica.
Yeah.
Now, I was telling Jacob that I really loved Jessica in the 84 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the eye makeup, but it was really pretty. I tried to copy it tonight, but I don't have her eyes, so it's fine. Comics and cosmetics, remember? I have to have the cosmetics going.
That's
anyway,
right.
But I really love, what is her name? She's in Silo too, and I really love her as an actress. She played Jessica in Denis Villeneuve's.
Rebecca Ferguson.
That's it, Rebecca Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Why is that so hard? I'm telling you, I think it's time for my dementia to kick in because names are getting really hard for me to remember.
And some spice.
Some spice. The spice of melange.
Melange.
Okay, funny story.
Melange.
I have to tell you guys this. So, have you seen the South Park episode where they spoof the spice melange and it's poop?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave had no idea that came from Dune. He had never seen or read Dune before. And I said something about spice with Dune, and he says, the spice melange. And I said, have you read Dune? He said, no, that's from South Park. And I said, no. No, that's from Dune.
No, that's from Dune.
And then he showed me the South Park episode. It was like, oh, you sweet, sweet, handsome man. Bless you. But yeah, spice melange. I need some spice melange. But I really love Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica. She really, really demonstrates that level of strength and vulnerability at the same time that Jessica had. Strength as a mother, as a protector of her family, but also that vulnerability, that fear that the Bene Gesserits are going to come and take it away.
Yeah.
And I think she's absolutely nailing it in a way that we didn't see in the 84 film.
Right.
Like, I thought she was a wonderful Jessica. She really was. But something about Rebecca Ferguson is just, you can feel like, okay, let me put it this way. Jessica in the 84 film, she just kind of felt like she didn't really feel like a Bene Gesserit to me until she was with the Fremen.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
she was always very done up and very pretty and very nice and good with her family. She had all those other aspects of Jessica, but you didn't really see that strict, stern Bene Gesserit training like really,
Yeah.
really hammered into her. You can see that in Rebecca.
I mean, from
Yeah.
her first lines,
Yes.
where she's telling him to use the voice,
Yes.
like
Use the voice.
right off the bat.
Right.
And I think another to your point too, when
Use
she's
the voice.
when she's talking to Mother Superior, and she tells him to bring Paul in. She brings Paul in, talk about the dreams, and put his hand in the box and all that. She obeys, and then afterward, she is just she's like, you know, yes, you were supposed to have a daughter, and she's like, well, I didn't. So, what are you gonna do? I mean, like, so she had that vulnerability. She was able to. She understood the gravity of what was going on, but then at the same time, she stood up and defended her point. I mean, she defended her son and was like, "Well, he's here now.
Yeah.
And that it falls in your court now."
And I really, she knew the risks, and this is
Oh, yeah.
where that spirituality comes in. She does believe in the teachings of the Bene Gesserit. She does.
Right.
She
Yeah.
doesn't like handling it. She doesn't
Right.
like how ambitious and driven they have become in
Right.
this
And manipulative.
manipulation of
Yeah.
DNA. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, to leave the Harkonian genes out of it, it's probably a good idea. I mean, you know,
But
That way.
Jessica is a Harkonnen.
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, she is. That's
Mhm.
true.
Isn't Baron Harkonnen her grandfather? Is it her
Yeah.
father? Father.
Father. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you are right. So I guess you didn't want to double up on it.
And she-
Yeah.
we didn't want a cousin, brother, double cousin.
And she
That's
didn't
right.
know that too.
We'll save that for Potosi, Missouri. Sorry.
When Paul gets on Arrakis, he's got the spice in the air, so
Mhm.
he's breathing it all the time, and he starts having, you know, visions of past and stuff, and he's
Right.
the one who figures out that his mother is a Harkonnen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that
Crazy.
was, yeah, that was fucked up. She's like,
You said what?
one of I felt like well, Blake, you've read all of at least all 6 of the main ones.
I believe so. I've definitely read 5 of them. It's been a
So
long time, but
I'm just going to do this real quick. I really should have typed this. See, this is the problem with the new mic.
yeah. Just get it out of there.
Okay. Okay then.
I've just read the first book, but
Well,
feel
spoiler
free to
warning.
talk about. Yeah, feel free to talk about
You've
spoilers.
seen-
You
okay.
can cover your eyes.
It'll be okay.
So Jacob and I were talking about 20 years ago, the Sci-Fi Channel did a Dune series, and not just Dune, but Children of Dune. So Paul's children. Paul had
Right.
twins.
And I believe it was a mashup of 2. I think it was Children of Dune, and I think they included plot points from 2 of the books. I
Yeah,
don't think
Messiah
it was
of
Messiah.
Dune and
We did 3.
Children, I think.
Was it Messiah and
books.
Children? I thought it was
Yeah.
Children and the one that came after that. I can't remember. It's been so long. But yeah.
They did the first 3 books, and that was like James McAvoy's first like big acting gig.
Yeah.
He's wonderful in it, by the way. Anyway, so the Sci-Fi Channel really knocked it out of the park. I mean, this is, for those of you who aren't old enough, about 20-something years ago, Sci-Fi Channel was fucking lit.
It was
They
cool.
had some good shit on there. If
Battlestar
Sci-Fi
Galactica.
Channel, Oh God, Battlestar Galactica. That was
Yeah.
peak television at the time. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. Ro doesn't like it at all, but he's old. Um
He'll get over it. Oh, they had what was that show? Tin Man. They had that mini
Oh, Tin
series Tin
Man
Man.
was
That was
good with Zoe
fantastic.
Deschanel.
Yes,
Tin
that
Man
was
was
like one
good.
of her first big things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Battlestar Galactica, Tin Man, you had Farscape. Farscape is an
Farscape.
amazing series. And for those who don't know, James Gunn based Star-Lord and Gamora and their relationship together off of Aaron Soon and John Crichton from Farscape. Now that you know that,
Oh my
go
gosh.
back and watch it and you'll see it. You'll
Yeah.
totally see it.
I bet.
But that's why Ben Browder had a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
That's a good tidbit. That's awesome.
Happens to me all the time. So, Sci-Fi Channel had really high quality, well written, well acted. They had really good shit back in the day. They didn't have this is pre-Sharknado BS. This stuff was good, and they had two separate mini series for Dune. The first one was Dune, and the second one was called Children of Dune. And they did awesome on these. Like I had a craving to watch them a few years ago. Couldn't find them anywhere. Jacob now tells me they're on YouTube, so but I couldn't find them anywhere. And my friend in Texas mailed me both series like on DVD, and I spent like a week just watching them. But they're so good, and they really go into detail.
Yeah, they had more time to flesh some stuff out.
And they also had the benefit of, you know what? Not many people are going to watch this shit, and nobody cares what we do, so we're just going to do what we want.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah. And at the time, though, I mean, people watching Sci-Fi Channel, if you weren't into Dune before that, if you were a sci-fi nut and you liked the Sci-Fi Channel, you watched everything that came on Sci-Fi.
Oh,
I remember
yes.
because I did. So you would watch Dune, be like, you know what? This is actually really cool. Let me go check it out. So I'm sure that it brought fans to the Dune franchise.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did. It was phenomenal. They really the guy who played Paul, God, he was Paul. He was really good. But what I was driving at when I started this tirade was that in Children of Dune, we really get to see the depths of Paul's sister.
Yeah.
You don't get that in the 84 movie. I don't know if we're going to get that in Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how many of these he's going to make. I hope he makes a shitload of them. But his sister. Now, when Jessica and Paul are in the desert after Leto is killed, and they reach the Fremen, in order for them to stay, they're like, well, we need a Reverend Mother. You're a Bene Gesserit, and they brought your religion here, so how about you be our Reverend Mother and you guys can stay?
Right.
He's like, okay. He's like, well, you got to drink the water of life. Which, FYI, folks at home, spice is worm poop.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's worm poop. And the water of life is worm poop from baby worms who can't control how much they poop. So it's highly concentrated poop.
Yeah.
Have I said poop enough? So the problem is it's not just a psychoactive drug. It actually does open you up to consciousness. It does a real thing to you. It does open your third eye, and you can see infinity and beyond. I didn't mean to channel Buzz Lightyear, but it really does awaken you. That's why he keeps saying the sleeper has awakened.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle MacLachlan. Anyway, so Jessica knew she was pregnant. In fact, Paul tells her, I know you're pregnant. So they know she's pregnant. And she accepts and assumes the role as Reverend Mother and drinks this water of life. This is the only move that Jessica really makes where I'm like, what the fuck?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Like, I didn't even drink coffee when I was pregnant.
Should have drank a bottle of whiskey instead. You know what I'm saying? Like
Smoke pack cigarettes.
caffeine, big caffeine. No.
But she actually drinks this water of life, and it not only opens her up to this extra, consciousness, but it
Wealth
awakens.
of knowledge.
Yes. The knowledge of the universe, the past, present, and future. But it also awakens her unborn daughter to it as well. Yeah. So when she's drinking this water of life, the consciousness is like, hey, your baby's awake to this now. So you need to like hold her and protect her and, walk her through it because it's too late now, stupid. Like the old Reverend Mother was like, you should have told us you were pregnant. It's, they're trading off. And she's like, I didn't want to die in the desert. So, so when this, and what's her name? I want to say Aaliyah. That's it.
Yeah.
Aaliyah. So when Aaliyah, that's it.
Aaliyah, that's how you say it. Yeah. I'm used to reading it.
I know. My dad, okay, so Anne Rice my parents read Anne Rice. I read Anne Rice. And my dad, God bless him, kept saying Lestat. And my dad, it's just Lestat.
Yeah.
Keep extras on it. He's like, well, I've never heard it. I just read it. So Aaliyah, when she is born to consciousness. Like she remembers everything from in utero to birth. Like she is a scary effing kid. She is this really scary kid. And they refer to her as Abomination.
Yeah.
And what I love about it, it was kind of like, let me see if I can. I know what you were doing. I saw you. Hello, grandfather.
That's awesome.
The little creepy kid. Well, at least the voice changer works on it. But what I love about Children of Dune is they really go into the depths of Alia's illness. Like she is batshit crazy.
She's nuts. Yeah.
She gets possessed by Baron Harkonnen.
Yep.
She gets she can't control herself anymore. She really, everyone's trying to kill her. The Bene Gesserit one are dead.
Yeah. and think about that too. Thinking just about religious aspect, the spirituality of it all and the science of it all, you would think a child like this being this enlightened and, try to help her out and to move her along. But no, everyone's like, nah, kill it. Kill it.
Kill it with fire.
Even Lady Jessica is afraid of her.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's afraid of her.
Yeah. Doesn't Jessica leave the palace? Like after Leto dies, they take the palace back. They take Arrakis back and everything. Jessica leaves because she can't be around Alia anymore. Alia knows too much.
Yeah.
And it's just overwhelmed her personality, so she can't be normal.
Yeah.
She develops this weird yet spiritual psychosis.
Yeah.
I think it's this weird, like I said, Baron Harkonnen possesses her, but she's also haunted and tormented by other spirits and things and visions. She stops making sense of what's real and what's not.
Yeah. But she's got, the problem is, she's so young. Her mind is not mature enough to take on the infinity of knowledge that's been just piled into her brain, and the sights and the
Mhm.
feelings, and she can see it all. So
Yeah.
all of that from birth. How can you tell what's reality and what happened before and what's going to happen? And that's oh my gosh, it's deep.
Right. And as far as Jessica and Paul are concerned, like, what do you do though?
Yeah.
You can try to help her, but killing her isn't an option.
No.
You love her. That's your daughter. That's your sister. You can't do that. So what do? Well, you just kind of fuck off. You just leave her to her own demons, and that's what happens. Like so Duncan Idaho gets brought back as Duncan Idaho dies, as we
That's
know, but he gets brought back as a cloned Mentat, which
Yeah.
is really weird. But they keep
Yeah.
bringing him back for hundreds of years. There's so many
Yeah,
Duncan
over and
Idahos.
over again.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she falls in love with the first
Love.
clone, and they get married.
Correct.
But even he can't handle her. Like, she starts having affairs and just acting really like she tries to kill Paul because she's possessed by Baron Harkonnen. It gets really, really deep because I think, dude, Frank Herbert was working some shit out when he wrote these books.
He was on Spice.
Yeah.
It was the late 60s. It was acid.
It was, I think it came out in what, 64? Was it 68?
68.
Wow.
And
I thought it was 64.
for those who do not know, that's Dune has inspired every sci-fi, pretty much anything since then.
Yeah.
It's heavily, heavily inspired Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extremely.
And-
I mean, and to that credit, I mean, Isaac Asimov in the Foundation series inspired this, inspired Dune.
Yeah.
So,
and that is back.
And stuff before then. Also,
Yeah.
I mean,
that
so
is
many,
correct.
but Dune, Frank Herbert like meshed it together, and it just works.
Yeah. Well,
It's-
the Foundation's very empirical. There's not a ton of the spirituality stuff like it is in Dune. Not to the degree.
And I just don't think I'm smart enough. Like, I love it. I love Foundation. I love Isaac Asimov, but I don't quite fully grasp it. So I'm just kind of watching, like, I don't know what's happening, but it's really cool. Like, that's neat.
my dad got me into all those, and iRobot and Cave of the Naked Sun. Was that it? Something like that. Oh gosh, it was Cave of Steel, The Naked Sun. Those are some more of the Isaac Asimov, all of his books.
You are more well read than I am, sir.
Yeah, it was thanks to my dad. He had all those books, and I got to read them. So,
My parents had vampire books and Stephen King.
And that's also cool because I also read those.
But I'm not going to learn any laws about robotics reading them, am I? Now, if I ever come across a vampire, I'll know exactly what to do.
There's only 3. And if you watch the movie iRobot, they're in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're the actual... We use those.
Yeah, we do. I mean, 100%.
Dude,
Isaac Asimov, I know we're not talking about him, but I mean, just he was so far ahead. His brain was so far ahead of anyone else's at the time.
Between him
and Frank Herbert as well. I mean,
yes, between him, Frank Herbert, Tolkien, George R.R. Martin, I just want to pick their brains apart and see how they work.
Because they created worlds. I mean, like universes.
Entire worlds and universes, language with their own fictional worlds and mythos. And it's just, how did you freaking do that? I wrote a 240-page book, and that was a freaking challenge. This was a challenge. I can't imagine if I was, inventing languages, and I did kind of invent a religion, but it's not that great. It just isn't. It's the spirituality in Dune and how they have used that to not only demonize their, thinking technology and used it to explain, okay, this is why we're not doing this anymore. But it's okay. You keep doing what I say, and we're going to get the quits at Satarak, and then everything's going to be
Everything's
sure
fine.
pudding forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't happen.
Now, no,
Not at all.
because,
Not even close.
I really wish the Sci-Fi Channel would have continued on with their series because, it makes people who aren't familiar with the actual stories think that, oh, well, Leto Jr. comes around and he gets made part sandworm and then he saves Arrakis and everything's fine. But it wasn't. It was not fine. So,
I mean,
for those who don't know, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the next, even after, I think it's after Children of Dune. Can't remember the book, but they go.
No, that's
it may have, but they go. They don't. It's not just in the realm of Paul, and it goes, 1,000 years ahead. It goes. I mean, it jumps. It jumps,
Yes.
and there's problems that stem from them. I mean, it created a lot of problems.
It did, and when you
the God Emperor of Dune.
Yes, God Emperor of Dune.
God Emperor of Dune. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, but the Bene Gesserit, they kind of lose their power and their hold, and then they come back, and then it's all this crazy stuff.
Our plan,
Right?
It's all part of our plan. But so after Paul, he saves Dune, saves Arrakis. He brings water. He brings water to Dune, and he makes it this lush green planet. But the problem with bringing water to Arrakis and to the Fremen was that the desert shrunk, and if the desert shrunk, the sandworm shrinks. Yeah, so you didn't have spice anymore. But it wasn't so much like, oh, I need my drugs. It was a religious thing, and they didn't want the sandworms to go extinct. That was their god, Shai-Hulud.
Right.
He who. Yeah, so they didn't want that to happen.
And then on top of that, the Empire needs the spice for space travel. They need that. So,
because you have this one thing we did not talk about was the Spacing Guild. You have the Spacing Guild. The only way you can travel through space, like extended distances, is with the Spacing Guild. You have these absolutely hideous creatures, which if you look in the lower right hand corner of your screen, second from the last dude there, that's the Spacing Guild, and they live in tanks and without spice. I mean, they fold time and space. They're like they can create Einstein-Rosen bridges just on their own, as long as they have spice. But if you get rid of spice, no one can interstellar travel.
And also, people are so addicted to it that if they don't have it, they die.
Oh yeah.
There's that.
There's that. They get the DTs.
That's right.
So Leto goes into the desert, and he gets him some sandworm DNA, where it's kind of like a carapace, like it joins on him, and he becomes ruler of Arrakis, and then he becomes the emperor, and this is what he looks like.
Yeah, it's creepy dude.
He becomes like half sandworm.
You can get there, Emperor.
Yeah, he becomes the emperor, and he lives for like 1,000 years.
Yep.
And he keeps trying all these things. Like, he wants everything to be perfect. That's Leto's problem. And that's everyone's problem, really, in Dune, is they keep
he,
thinking it can be better.
he
Yeah.
brings out this golden path that
Yes, the golden
people
path.
have to follow to
Yes,
so it'll be a perfect future, you know.
which is like Foundation.
Yes, a lot like Foundation.
You know,
Correct.
he's oh, we strayed from the path. We got
Yep.
a crisis.
There's a set way to do things.
Mhm.
And if you don't do it, and we see it with the Bene Gesserit as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if there's a set way we have to do these things, and when someone gets off that path, you know, there's a vast course correction.
And
Like, and
it's
it's
kind of
sudden,
like,
and it's like, boom, we're doing this now.
I'm gonna drop some Midwestern / Southern wisdom on you, like analogy. You know, you put a frog in boiling hot water, he's gonna jump right out. But if you put a frog in tepid water and slowly raise the temperature, you can boil a frog alive.
Yeah.
That was Leto as the emperor.
Right.
Eventually, he starts doing the exact same shit that the Bene Gesserit were doing.
That's correct.
He starts the genetic manipulation. He starts all this stuff. He wants to breed out emotion and breed aggression out and breed this out,
Yeah.
you know, to get the perfect race.
Yeah. Which is the Bene Gesserit could only see the female line of history.
Right.
Yeah.
And whereas the God Emperor could see both sides.
All
Yeah.
of it.
So he could see into the future what would happen. So
That's
he's like
right. Because they would say the Quetzat
breeding
Satarak
this
can
perfect
see where we cannot
perfect
go.
people. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like breeding this perfect people to survive what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they could go without oxygen for so long and weird stuff.
They, yeah. I think with Dune, you get into the spirituality and the science. When you mix those two together, everyone wants to play God.
Yes.
Every faction that we've, I guess the Mentats really don't, but most factions, most people want to play God. The people that we spend time with and focus on in these books, the movies, miniseries, they're trying to breed the perfect race. They're trying to breed the perfect people to weather the storm, to survive until forever.
Mhm.
So when you get that mix, everyone wants to play God.
Yeah. Because everyone's got their own idea of perfection.
And they think it's perfect. And they think it's perfect. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's the absolute heart of Dune and the spirituality and science, is that both sides are looking for perfection. They're looking, there's this golden path, as God Emperor Leto said, this golden path that, you know, only I know what it is. Only the Bene Gesserit know what it is. Only, you know, they each have their idea of what it should be. And not one of them has even considered, let's all sit down and talk and come to a compromise. It never happens. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of the entire series, is it really speaks to the human condition, that we are it's just who we are. And it's because I can't hear what you're thinking. I can't feel what you're feeling. So as a species, we tend to be very selfish, driven, you know, self-serving, because I only really know what I want. I only know what I think. I can't figure out what you do unless I sit and talk to you about it.
That's
But how often does that happen in this world? How often do our politicians, our leaders, our government actually sit down and talk to us and talk to others and find out what we can do to compromise, to make this work as best as possible for everybody? It doesn't happen.
No, everybody they make a plan and they do it. You know?
Yeah, and it's interesting how they got to that point. I mean, it's a parallel to reality.
Mhm.
After World War II, they dropped the bombs, and it's like, well, we don't want to have these large scale wars that'll destroy the planet. So it's like they bring about the equal destruction. So everybody's got nukes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it goes to espionage,
Yep.
and that's what the Dune universe happens.
Yes. There's so much espionage
Yeah.
that that's pretty cool. Just
Yeah.
Dr. Huey, God love that poor bastard.
Yeah.
He didn't stand a chance.
No.
No.
He did not stand a chance. I always felt bad for Huey. I always did. Like, they took his wife, and he
Yeah.
didn't know that she was already dead.
Yeah.
And then he gives
I
over
said, "You
Leto
can join
anyway.
her."
Yeah.
I didn't say I would free her. Like, oh, you dick. And that's something else that it just reminded me that everyone is doing the genetic manipulation. Everyone is doing it. No one is talking about it, and everyone's shaming it.
Yeah. That's right.
They're all fucking doing it. The Harkonnens, they do it weird,
Yeah.
They do it super weird. Like in Villeneuve's Dune, where he had that spider-looking thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's totally something a Harkonnen would have.
Yeah.
He had weird
100%.
pets. And he was a sicko.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's putting it nicely. He was a complete sicko. Yeah, it was very small.
I agree.
It should have been a little bit more developed. I did like.
You only,
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, you just get that. It's his whole reason for turning over Leto and all that stuff. It's just, it gets kind of glossed over. It's all kind of
It does.
just, you get it in passing. It's like he's just a passing thing.
They don't
How much impact?
help us develop an emotional connection to him to understand why he did it. They don't make him as complex as he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he just comes in and looks at Paul here and there, and that's all the time we get with him.
And the dog.
I do. I do like how they bring in that he's a doctor, but he's like touches his chest to read his heart rate, and
I was
Yeah.
curious.
I love how they did that. That was cool.
Yeah, they really demonstrate the whole our science is spirituality thing. Like with the mentats being the computers now, the doctors are the same. They have developed this sixth sense, this diagnostic sense.
And it's like everybody has one of those. Everyone has something. It's not all the same thing. They all have something.
Yeah.
And so no one can understand each other
No.
You have
because everyone's totally different.
warrior cult of the Sardaukar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love the Sardaukar. And I love how Villeneuve demonstrated them, like how he showed them, and that language, that throat, Mongolian throat speaking, the Sardaukar language. Oh, that made sense.
Yeah.
It made so much sense. But God, the Emperor is probably one of my least favorite people in the whole universe, because what a weenie, what a like, you can't just, he's got to be so passive aggressive about everything and so sneaky about everything. He can't just say, you know what, I don't like that people listen to you more, that they like you more than me. And I don't like that you made more money than me. So I am going to do all these really complex, expensive things.
Yeah. To take you both down.
Yeah, that just, you.
Well, even
the word to say
even
that
at
is
the beginning,
horribly offensive.
like he hides behind the Atreides and the Harkonians. Like, he lets them do the dirty work to themselves. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, he uses the law and finds loopholes to work around it.
Boy, that sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
But he's the emperor. You know?
Yeah.
It's good to be the king.
Yeah.
Mel
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch History of the World Part 2?
I watched like
No.
5
Yeah, don't.
to 10
It's
minutes of it, and I was like, "Nah, I'm out."
no.
That was
They should have
horrible.
just left it alone. I think they tried to do like drunk history
I don't.
with
I
it.
Yeah, I watched about 5 to 10 minutes, and I was like, "This is." You would think it would have at least the spirit of History of the World Part 1, and it did not at all.
No, we can't do those things anymore.
No, you can't,
We
and that's the
can't
thing.
make those
They
scripts.
tried to do Mel Brooks without it being offensive, and you can't do that. Like it's going to be offensive. I mean, I'm not offensive.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was lame.
it was very lame.
But no, the Emperor is probably, in my opinion, he's the worst person in the entire story.
It's almost like he doesn't have much skin in the game. Like,
no, he's such a weenie.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah, and
fucking Emperor. You command the Sardaukar.
Yeah.
Come on.
But he has no male descendants.
Yeah.
The Bene Gesserit have, dictated that you'll only have daughters.
What a daughter. She actually turns out to be like super awesome.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Oh, snap.
Oh no.
What were we saying about him earlier?
Ro, don't rewind, man. I talked
Yeah.
major crap about you at the beginning of the show. No, I'm just kidding.
What did we say he didn't like? And I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, it was Sci-Fi Channel.
No, it wasn't Sci-Fi.
Not Sci-Fi Channel. It was something on Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, Battlestar Galactica.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. We love Battlestar Galactica, Ro. Sorry you didn't like it, but you're old. So
does Dwight Schrute. Dwight Schrute also loves
Dwight Schrute. Fact.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Every time. Fact. See, there he goes.
Deals.
I'm telling you, Battlestar Galactica on the Sci-Fi Channel was peak television at the time. It was really good. We had a good run there until about 2016, and then everything just kind of went downhill. Like,
yeah, then they became SYFY Sci-Fi. It was like,
oh yeah. And then we got Sharknado.
Yeah.
And
There's no going back.
Shark movies.
It was in the future, okay? It was in the future after the toasters. Oh, I think Dune is one of the most beautiful sci-fi pieces ever written. There's really nothing that compares or matches it in any way in technicality, like technical goodness, we'll say, and in imagination. I mean, just the language alone. Quitsat Sadarek, Lisan al Daib, Muad'Dib. I mean, these are just they're fun
Artistic.
to say.
Yeah.
They're beautiful to hear, and they sound like real history. Like real history. And there's so much in the story, in the spirituality, that is so relatable. Their melding of that science and spirit, that science and religion, and the different interpretations of it, like how the Fremen see it, and how the Bene Gesserit see it, which has always been good Lord. See, here's the
Bless your
thing.
heart.
I always know when Ro is going to text me. Like, I have a text. I don't know who it's from. It's from Ro. It is for real. But whenever hey Chairman, what's up? Whenever I post a picture like I'm going live, every once in a while I'll post one and I'll think to myself, Ro's gonna text me. And that's what I thought today, but he didn't text me. He saved it for the live stream. So
Yeah.
But anyway,
you can't guess with Rose. You just can't guess.
no. But I love you, hermano.
You're right.
Yeah, that melding and how really the Fremen and the Bene Gesserit believe the same thing. I mean, hell, the Fremen have a Reverend Mother. Jessica replaces her with her and her abomination Bene Gesserit child Alia. But they have such totally different viewpoints on it. It's like Catholics and Baptists.
Yeah.
It's so different where the Bene Gesserit are so controlling and manipulative and cold about all of it. Cold about their own religion. Like very methodical.
Very direct. Very
Where the Fremen see it as freeing. They see it as something that comforts them, that gives them hope while they're on their path. They don't see it as the path. Like, do this, or you'll become spice. You'll become word poop. Like the Bene Gesserit, no. They are cold, calculating, methodical, manipulative, and there's nothing about them that makes me think, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the Bene Gesserit church this day.
Right.
That's right. That I really feel that. Like, I really think that that's for me. I think that's going to complete me. It's going to fulfill me. But the Fremen, you actually do feel that. The way they worship, the way they live alongside it, not live for it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that may be because that they were told about the Messiah. You know, they were kind of told about this person that was coming to them. Kind of what the chairman's saying here. The freemen were lied to. They were told this. It wasn't ingrained in their being from the beginning. It's lore to them, more or less.
Yes.
Too, it
when
also
the Bene Gesserit are generating this, they are generating the Messiah. They are generating this perfect being.
Yes.
Also, their religion is like it mirrors the harsh planet they live on.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like they've learned to, go with the flow of the planet, and that's their religion is that way too. They're like going with the flow of it.
It's a really good point. And I gotta know, like, their relationship with Shai Hulud, with the, because they have like a two-folded religion. Like it's almost like, I mean, I said they are this kind of allegory for the Jewish people, but at the same time, their belief and practices really mirror Native Americans, where Native Americans were converted to Christianity against their will, but converted to Christianity. They still respected and honored the beliefs and practices of their ancestors. So that's how I kind of see the Fremen with Shai Hulud and the Bene Gesserit.
And
like
I believe Frank Herbert did draw inspiration from Native American culture in that way. I believe I've read that before. I know somewhere. I believe that, just what you were saying, he drew inspiration from that for the Fremen. So
I feel really smart right now. Thank you, bud.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
But no, it's such a such an intricate, like we've been talking an hour and a half, and I don't even think we've really scratched the
Scratch the surface.
surface
Yeah.
No.
of how woven this is. But can we all three just agree that the science and spirituality of Dune is awesome?
Yep.
I think it's great. Honestly, I think that for Frank Herbert to do what he did, I think he took the Isaac Asimov approach with his technicality. And if you look ahead to Star Wars has a whole lot of feeling and a whole lot of that spirituality kind of, with the Jedi and the Sith and the this and that, but it doesn't really have a lot of the technical stuff. It does have the science and stuff, but
Right.
no one's like, well, this is how hyperspace works, or this is how the lightsaber, we don't have all of this like explanation for things. I think that Frank Herbert is kind of the perfect marriage of those two ideas of science and spirituality. So what came before and after,
And
Dune is where it started and kind of perfected it.
Good
and there's
Lord.
also the
That's
warning
amazing.
of the abuse of science and religion too.
Exactly. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, my guests tonight are far more intelligent and articulate than I am. This is why they are here. But no, you're absolutely right. The whole tale is one. It's almost believable how well he explains everything.
Yeah.
Like this stuff could work the way he explains it.
Yeah.
But it's all this beautiful cautionary tale. And not just a cautionary tale. I don't even think he's cautioning. I think he's just saying, this is what I'm observing in my life. That science can be good and spirituality can be good, but there's always going to be people who manipulate that for nefarious reasons, for their own benefit. And that's what we should be concerned about. We should question everything and everyone, because everyone is going to have their own machinations. It's very quiet.
I know. I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
This is totally a story about the abuse of science and spirituality. It's not one or the other. It's people. Look at our history. Look at the history of humanity. People have abused spirituality. People have abused science. That's just human nature. That's it's happened forever since the dawn of recorded history.
100%.
So in the future, why would that change? Yeah, and Dune is just like the progression of it. It's not that it we think we stamped it out, but we think with getting rid of AI and getting rid of all that stuff, we've kind of that's over. No, it continues to grow and get worse. I mean, it gets crazy. It gets nuts.
It's us.
Yeah,
and it's complacency. It's the moment you think you've solved all the problems.
Yeah,
you become complacent. You can never become complacent. You can never think you've solved all the problems. You can never think you've completely enlightened yourself. You can never think you've learned all there is to learn because, we lost Jacob. He'll come back. Hopefully. But you can never be so, it's hubris.
Yeah.
You can never think for a moment that you're done learning or that there are no other hurdles to expect, because there's always something. You always have to stay on your toes. You always have to be ready to learn, to grow. I think that's the most important message, is always be willing to learn and grow and realize that it's not just about you.
Yeah.
It's not. It's time to listen to each other and talk to each other and realize there's a whole big universe out there of people that have needs, wants, and desires, and they're not always going to match up to you. So the best thing you can do is try to compromise.
Yeah.
All right. This has been
Sorry
awesome.
about that. Internet.
No, it's okay. Shit happens. Oh, poop. There's more poop.
Spice boop happens.
Does happen. With that, it's time for some nerdy news, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! It's time for nerdy news. And I left my glasses in the other room, so everyone is just going to have to chill. Just gonna have to deal with it. So, there's only a few headlines this week, but they're big ones. So, most importantly, or the biggest one, for the first time since 1960, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild of America are both on strike, and they staged walkouts for the first time in 60 years. Like, it's insane. And what they're striking for is totally relatable and reasonable. That's the thing that really blows my mind, is that it's incredibly reasonable. And who was it? Bob Iger and a couple other executives came out and flat out said, well, we're just, siege tactics and all. We're just going to starve them out. Once they can't pay rent anymore and buy food, then they'll come crawling back. I'm like, bitch, they can't pay rent now.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Sean Gunn, who was on Gilmore Girls for several years, he hasn't gotten any royalty checks. Like, he's got no residuals. None.
I know they're playing that thing. I know they're playing it somewhere right now.
Netflix,
it's probably on. It's somewhere.
It's
it's on Netflix. Yeah,
it's the most popular show on Netflix. It's insane. But these people, there are people who act for a living. Okay, that is their daily job, and they're getting checks for like $60. Because here's what's happening: they pay you one time to act in a show or a movie. Okay, they pay you for that. All right, and then they sell it to a distributor, and you'll get residuals from that. Small ones, small percentage, but you got paid for the job, so this is okay. Well, in the last 20 years, I'd say 15, the last 15 years, streaming services have really taken off, and they're selling them again to streaming services and not paying the actors or writers. So they're pocketing the whole thing. That's insane. That's
messed
has
up.
to be illegal, right? That's indentured.
I think so.
That's slavery. That's indentured service.
It's distribution. That's still distribution.
Yeah, that is stealing, is what it is. It's you're getting extra work out of these people, and you're not paying them for it. And there's my buddy Spartan Flash Sentry. What's up, homie? What's up? I missed you. I'll see you next weekend. Next weekend is our second episode of Inside the Small Council, so don't miss that. Danny in cosplay, actually acting. But they are getting twice, if not 4 times the work out of these people and not paying them for it. And when it comes to writers, I don't know so much on the acting end, but with writers, they've developed mini writing rooms in these spec scripts, and they'll say, hey, we are developing this show and we want you to write a pilot. So get a mini writing room together and write the pilot. And these writers are like, okay. And they do it. And then the studios come back and say, oh, it didn't get picked up, so we can't pay you. No.
Yeah.
That person did work. They worked
Yeah.
for you. They did something you asked them to do. You hired them to do. You cannot pay them for that. That's slavery.
I agree.
That's not okay. And
Yeah.
listen, once a month, I write a little script for our Inside the Small Council. And I'm here to tell you, it makes me want to yank my hair out. It's not easy. And it takes me about, I'd say, 20 hours total to finish a script for our little thing we do. And if somebody asked me to do that, just asked me to write a script for their show, I would be like, you're paying me X amount of dollars, and it's going to be a big X. It's going to be a big X. So if someone hired me to do that, and they said, oh, I'm so sorry, the show didn't get picked up, so I'm not paying you. No, go fuck yourself. No, that's 20 hours of my life I cannot get back.
Yeah.
100%.
I still have to eat. Like, I could have spent that 20 hours working at McDonald's and getting paid.
That's right. Yeah.
So, see, exactly, Chairman. And this is the problem they're having. And for some reason, people like Bob Iger and David Zaslav were like, oh, yeah, well titties.
Well, I'm going to tell you something though. Like Bob Iger, that's some cojones for him, because Disney's losing a lot of money right now. And stuff's not going to come.
Yeah.
Stuff's not going to be coming out. So that's just more money you're losing, dude. Like,
it's not just. This is what makes me really, really sad. Is that it's not just writers and actors. When the writers and actors go on strike, first of all, the writers are the heart and soul. They're the meat and potatoes. If you don't have a writer, you have nothing. You have nothing. You can pick. I love my actors. I do. Look, actors are weird people. I'm just going to say it right now. They're really weird people. But you can replace an actor.
Yeah.
There are a lot more people out there who can act badly, or doesn't matter, varying degrees. You can pick people off the street. You can't pick people off the street for writing.
No.
If I went up to 10 people and said, would you rather be a writer on the show or an actor? 9 out of 10 are going to say actor.
Yeah.
Actors are easier to replace.
And two, I've seen good actors do bad scripts. And they acted well, but you could tell it was a bad script.
Yeah.
Like the writers, that's who's making the film or the show or whatever it is, what it is. It's the writer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely insane, how they have come to this decision, how it has come to this. I mean, pay people. I never thought in a million years I would hear actors saying, pay me a living wage. I've heard McDonald's employees complain about it constantly.
Yeah.
But, still can't get my hamburger right. That's neither here nor there. But I never thought in a million years I would hear actors. And Fran Drescher is the president of SAG? I did not see that company. I did not see that coming. And she is killing it. She is absolutely, the nanny is killing it.
Yeah.
She really is. She is, look, these fuckers have it. Good for her. Good for you, Fran. I'm no longer offended that my entire life people told me I sounded like when I laughed, that I sounded like a love child of Woody Woodpecker and Fran Drescher. Nah.
That's awesome. Oh, so yeah, you got me on that one.
Well, it's really, really sad what's happening out there. And, like I was saying, oops. Oh, snap. Good thing I brought napkins. And I really...
Party foul.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of... It's fun. I really nailed my Game of Thrones coasters. What I was saying is that, one, without writers, we would have nothing. But it's not just that. With the writers and the actors both on strike, you're not making movies, shows, content, period. So
Okay.
that means your set dressers, your makeup artists, hairstylists,
Stage hands.
costume designers, stage hands, best boys, grips, sound. Nobody can work.
Stuntman.
That is
Yeah.
possibly thousands of people, and not just those, but the municipalities, the local economies, like in Georgia and even up in
Yeah.
Canada, in Vancouver, areas that depend on filming
Yeah.
for their local economy. This is going to affect the entire country. This is thousands of people out of work because you don't want to fucking pay them for working. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
Yeah,
no.
it's sad.
If someone works for you, you pay them. That's how it works.
And
Period.
I would.
Doesn't
It
matter
just
if
kills
your
me.
project falls through, you pay them still.
Yeah. I mean, it's every other industry
Yeah.
is regulated. If someone works those hours, you pay them.
Yeah.
You know, even if you fire them or even something bad happens between you, if they work those hours and that's logged, you have to pay them. I mean,
For whatever you have contracted them to do, be it a commission, salary, it doesn't matter. You are obligated to pay them for their time.
Yep.
Because time is the one thing a human being cannot get back.
that's right.
Love it, Darth Blaze.
And what makes it worse is some of these studios say that, oh, the script, it fell through, we're not going to make it. They take that script and recycle it and use it for something else.
You have no idea. So this has been going on for a really long time. When I was out in Burbank in February, someone came to the house I was at to deliver something, and they were having a conversation with my friend about the situation. Like the studios were very, very concerned that this was coming from the writers and the actors. So they were trying to buy and stock up as many scripts as possible and get things out as fast as possible so we could have some kind of money coming in while the strike was going on. I mean, that's how twisted these people are. They saw this coming. I mean, last year. They saw this coming last year. And instead of saying, you know what, this is going to happen, we should just be decent human beings and pay them what we owe. Because, you know, if I don't pay the electric company, they turn my power off.
That's right.
I mean, I don't get out of that shit. But
these strikes could end some of these studios that have been around for decades.
Oh, it'll end Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
They're already bankrupt. I mean, look, I'm a big James Gunn fan. Everybody knows that. I have not been quiet about that. I love his work. I do. But first of all, that man should not play poker ever. ever. You can absolutely tell that they're desperate.
Oh yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
The way, I mean, they paid Stephen King and Tom Cruise and other people. Oh, this is the greatest movie ever made, and then it's not that great. And if it's a superhero, it's a superhero movie. No big deal. You know, if it's entertaining, it's entertaining. That's one thing. But don't spend your last $5, you know, just to gas it up like that. Because then when we do see it, and we see that it's not the greatest movie ever made, we're not going to trust you again. Ever. Yeah. But Warner Brothers was broke when they brought James Gunn and Peter Safran on. They were totally broke. And from what I heard, Zaslav is like, he's wanting to at least increase the visibility of profit for Warner Brothers Discovery so he can offload it in a couple of years. That is what I've heard, which makes sense. I mean, it's not like David Zaslav is like super artistic and just really wants to make great movies. You know, he's a businessman. He wants money. A businessman who doesn't pay his actors or writers.
Yep.
So, dick move, bro. Dick move. But because of that, because of the strike, actors everywhere, like the cast and crew of Oppenheimer were in London when the strike happened, and they all immediately left. They left London and all went home. So there is no promotion, there's no press, there's no marketing. Like I said, my Katie Sackhoff and Phil Lamar scheduling came to a complete halt immediately because that's considered press. That's considered marketing. And they're not going to give any so long as the strike is going on. So, you're not going to see. I don't know if the Emmys are really going to happen this year. They don't have writers. And they don't have actors.
Yeah. What are you going to do? I mean, people write everything you hear on there. People write. So there's no writers. Probably not going to happen, or it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Emmy nominations are pretty iffy. Like, they're pretty suspicious, pretty sus. Like, you can totally tell that Disney.
Oh yeah,
right.
Obi-Wan.
Come on, Lizzo. Look, I love. What's the name of that damn song? I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch, even when I'm going. I love that song. I do. I think it's done a lot for feminism. But the girl's not an actor.
No, she's not.
Not an actor. It was not Emmy worthy. That was paid for, and I feel bad for her because everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. On top of that, casting for Superman Legacy is completed and was announced. James Gunn wanted to get that out and announced and over with before the strike because they knew it was coming. But it's pretty good casting. David Cornsweat, I call him Corn Sweat. I cannot see it anymore. He's Superman Clark Kent. We got Rachel Brosnahan, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Yep. She's Lois Lane. Nathan Fillion is going to play Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and that's like,
yep.
I want to see him pull some sarcastic douche nozzle. I can't wait to see it. And Harrigan, the guy who played NoHo Hank and Mark Berry, he's going to be Metamorpho. That's so cool. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I'm a big Superman fanboy. That's my favorite superhero, period. Truth, justice.
I should have had you on for our
Yeah.
Science Superman show.
Yeah, I love Superman.
I had an actual physicist.
Yeah. So this project is something I'm very excited about. So being the casting, and you know, any good DC kind of takeoff for a new universe, not really universe, James Gunn thing he's doing.
Yeah. And he's good.
He's fantastic.
And he's a great writer. I don't know why so many people give him shit. He's got some haters, but he does good work.
He was the only good thing about Marvel in the last 5-6 years.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was just it was wonderful. I've never cried like that during a superhero movie. Like, my daughter won't ever watch it again because it made her cry so bad.
Yeah, I mean,
so good. He's good. And dare I say, he has a very St. Louis Midwestern flair to his style and musical taste. It really takes that. And when his grandpa's sitting there and he's reading the St. Charles Post, I was like,
Yeah,
I
I see you.
see you. It was great. When he's sitting there and he's like, look, I'm saying I'll mow her lawn, but her son's 40 years old. He lives with her. Why isn't he mowing her lawn? I'm like, that is a very typical problem here. Ugh. Anywho,
Yeah.
Ahsoka is 38 days away. Just want to remind everyone.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I love
Ahsoka. And I'm gonna nitpick her makeup because my best friend isn't doing her makeup anymore. But
I'm very excited about the project. I hope it does good things. I hope it does good things.
I mean, Harrison Dula, Sabine Wren,
Yeah,
Ahsoka Tano, Zeb's definitely Chopper. I just want to see Chopper's
it's a recipe for success.
shenanigans and sass in live action. That
Yeah.
little shithead. He's going to be great. I just know it. He's such a shit. Like, when's the last time you've had your memory cleaned? How about you don't
Never.
touch me?
Never
Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
Oh my god. And go ahead.
I don't know. I'm always one that is hopeful. I always
Yes.
like to be hopeful,
Always optimistic.
I'm always
Yeah.
optimistic.
You
But-
don't want something to be bad, you know. We want good entertainment.
Yeah.
And
Dave's heading up. It's rumored that I don't know if it's rumored, might be confirmed that he wrote every single episode. It just kind of what it's leading to.
Dave
I'm
Filoni,
scared.
and please believe me on this one, Dave Filoni is just as frustrated as we are. Okay? He's just as frustrated. He is really struggling with some people over there that are nicknamed Traitor. And I have this on very, very good authority, but he's just as frustrated as we are. Him and John both. They're really trying. John almost
Yeah,
fucking left. I think John's leaving.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think John's
Full
leaving.
disclosure.
I think he's going to Marvel from everything I've heard behind the scenes. But Dave is very frustrated. He loves these characters, and God bless our master George Lucas. He created all of this, but the man is old and he doesn't give a shit anymore.
Oh yeah, I mean, why would he? I mean, he sold it, and
Yeah.
now, I mean, he's so old. What could he do? Even if they had that rumor that they're going to sell it back to George. George is too old to do anything with it.
Stop believing that shit. And Kathleen Kennedy is not getting fucking fired. Don't
Probably
believe any of that. No, she's not. No, you're going to hear an announcement years from now that she's retiring. That's what you're going to hear. You're not going to hear Kathleen Kennedy was fired. You're going to hear Kathleen Kennedy retired. And right now, she's got some dirt on people or something. She's not going anywhere. She's not. So you can watch Doomcock and Star Wars Theory fight all you want on Twitter, but if they got any scoops that Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired, it came from Mike fucking Zero.
He's my guilty pleasure. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's my guilty pleasure channel.
If he says ascribed one more time, I'm gonna stick in my eyeball.
God, what's the phrase? What's another phrase he says?
It's
Oh,
ascribed that. It's ascribed that. Listen. Bedazzled butt pockets. Okay? That word doesn't mean what you think it means. Montoya. You keep saying this word, but I don't think it means what you think it means. It doesn't mean that.
That's my guilty pleasure show.
You mean described. Please just say described. It doesn't make you sound smarter. It makes you more irritating. Please stop. You're hurting my ears.
It's like a train wreck. You can't a bad train wreck. You cannot help but watch. You can't.
I did stop watching. I couldn't handle it anymore.
I don't know. I just see it and I don't know. It's so.
And that douchey music at the end of it, he has bedazzled butt pockets.
Like I said, it's my guilty pleasure. I'm not saying it's right.
Smarter. And yes, Peacemaker is a revelation, but I am a little irritated that I have to wait until like 2026 to see season 2. That's my
Right.
problem. I understand that you guys want to focus on quality and everything, but it doesn't take 5 fucking years to make a series of television. We lose interest and we forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff happens. But yes, Mike Zero, smarter.
Shots
But
fired.
yeah, Kathleen Kennedy's not getting fired. Don't listen to those jackholes unless you see.
They've only said it 100 times.
I fucking hell. My boyfriend was like, and he's not into the nerdy stuff like we are, but he was watching something on one of his YouTube channels, and he was like, I turned it off, and I said, why? And he said, well, because they said Kathleen Kennedy was getting fired, and I know that was a fucking lie, because if it was true, you would have told me a week ago.
Yeah, I won't believe it unless it's headline news.
No,
Until it
unless
happens.
it says
Yes.
Kathleen Kennedy to retire. I don't
Yeah.
believe any of it. And if it says she's retiring, rest and assured, trust and believe, she's
Hope
getting
she's
out.
coming out of retirement. No.
Yeah. No. Moving on, because we're getting close to my famous ending tagline. Here's some things I did not know, and I just learned today. So, you know how Deadpool 3 is basically Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, but the Fox universe, and all of our favorite Fox Marvel people are coming back. One is not coming back, and it's Wesley Snipes' Blade. And here is why. First and foremost, him and Halle Berry dated. He was very, extremely physically abusive to her. I didn't know any of this. He hit her so hard, she is deaf in one ear.
Oh my god!
Yikes.
Yes.
This dude's not in prison. Like,
well, he was, but for tax evasion. This was like 20,
Well,
30
yeah,
years ago when all that stuff was hush hush.
yeah, you're right.
So there's
not right. I
one,
hate
but
that.
he was also extremely physically abusive to his cast members, his co-stars on Blade Trinity, including Ryan Reynolds. Like, he was physical and just a bastard to Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel and everyone else who was in that movie. Chris Christopherson, he was a fucking prick.
I'm not gonna say that I can't see it. I mean, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where I never heard it before, but when I
Right.
did hear it, I was like, I kind of believe that.
Yeah.
Because normally
It sucks, though.
yeah, it does. It does suck. But he's been guilty of other things in the past. So if you're guilty of this thing, chances are these things are pretty closely related, you know?
Yeah.
So that is an absolute diehard shame. That
No, it is.
damn it, Wesley. Get it
Oh,
together.
well, I'll tell you what, if it hasn't completed filming, or if it wasn't completed filming when they knew Wesley Snipes wasn't going to be on there, there's going to be a jab about it in the movie. Like, you don't have to worry. There will be some representation.
Well, they haven't. There some people came out saying that Deadpool 3 had wrapped filming. I don't know what this one is. I have a metal desk, so I write with dry erase markers my notes on the desk. But I seem to have wiped something, and I can't see all of it. But there were rumors that Deadpool 3 had wrapped filming from, I think, some Marvel updates page. But my sources were like, no, they're filming until September. They're due to wrap in September, which, that means ish. It could be October, it could be August. Well, with the strike, they've stopped. Production has stopped entirely. So, how can we wrap this all up so we get the movies we want? We can help the actors
100%.
by throwing a fit, being loud, and not giving them our money.
Yep.
So there's that. But yeah, Deadpool 3, everything has halted production. Everything. There are certain things that are continued. House of Dragon is still in production because it's in Great Britain. And most of those
I guess they
actors
pay
are
people.
British. And they're not members of SAG. So, but pretty much everything else has halted production. So anything else that you guys were looking forward to in the next year, put a pause on that.
Yeah.
Put a pause on it. But
Maybe it'll come out better on the other end of it, you know?
I hope so.
yeah, because let's face it, more and more actors are coming out saying this content is shit. Have you seen the interview with Tom Holland?
I think I've seen bits and pieces on TikTok. I don't know if I've seen the whole thing.
Tom Holland is like, I hate Hollywood. It scares me. I don't want to be a part of it. It's a dirty, dirty business. And Dave was like, what does he know? What has he seen? Like, he's seen everything, obviously.
I'm sure he has. Yeah, I mean, dude is, I mean,
look how happy he was when he started as Spider-Man. Look how happy and excited and jubilant and bright he was. And now he's like...
You don't have to be in it to see what's going on in Hollywood.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I went out to LA and I hated it. It terrified me. It really did. Yeah. It's scary. There are 12 million people living in LA. You're not going... That doesn't mean 12 million good people. That means 12 million of people.
Yeah.
People.
And a lot of them are there
on top of each other.
Yeah. But Tom Holland has come out against it, and not just the business of Hollywood, but how this woke thing started with... They manipulated good intentions is what it was. Yeah. It was like, we want everyone to feel good about themselves and feel included. But what businessmen and CEOs saw was dollar signs. And manipulation. Yeah. So he's spoken out against that. And it's not just been him. It's been Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth has come out speaking how he was not happy with how Love and Thunder ended up. Haley Atwell. Yeah, Haley Atwell, you know, Peggy Carter. Mm-hmm. She's come out saying how she was not happy with her role in Multiverse of Madness and how those things have gone. More and more actors are starting to sound like us, which is fucking scary.
That's good. Good.
It is. It's a good thing. But it's gonna be a bit of a ride. But we will come out better for it, I think, on the other side.
And I will say that there's some things like we've just been getting product after product after product, poor quality. It's more about quantity.
Yeah.
They're not paying their people. I mean, it just seems like a shoddy operation. I mean,
you guys all know Mark Austin, right? They call him 10-second Boba Fett or
yes.
Yeah, he played Boba Fett in the special edition. He's a VFX artist. He does previs and stuff like that. And what he told me is, it's not that they're giving us unrealistic expectations. They're giving us unreasonable expectations. Like we don't have lives or have to go to the bathroom or something like that. Like, okay, that makes some more sense. But speaking of bathrooms, I have to pee. So that means we're done for the evening. Let's see. Now that all we need is... they don't have a union.
Well, they don't have... Effectively.
They don't have a union. But if they did all walk out, it would be a whole thing. We'll have to talk to Mark about that. Mark is cool. He's good people.
Get him on the line.
He's awesome. But I want to thank my guest. This has been a really, really good show. I really love talking about Dune. It's... Blake, you are a very smart man.
I appreciate it.
Use your big words more often.
I'll try to.
They always think if we have a Midwestern or Southern accent that we're dumb.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That ain't right.
Nope.
I do declare.
And Jacob, I do declare. That took me a second. You are probably the most knowledgeable of Dune on this panel, so God bless you.
Thank you
for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, I do need a still suit, Spartan. I'm waiting for it to come up. I do need a still
Yes.
suit so I can forego.
I could use
heat.
one of those too.
But how would
With the heat
anyone
here in
know?
Texas, so
I love who's in Texas?
I am.
What? Oh, I don't want to ask publicly, but I lived in Texas. I love Texas. I call it my second home.
Yeah, I live
Oh.
in the hill country or outskirts of the hill country.
I was in Central Texas, Fort Hood.
No, I'm sorry. I was mistaken. I'm in Central Texas. Sorry.
Oh, yay, Central Texas!
Yeah, I live about
Isn't
an
it
hour
weird?
and a
Redacted.
half from Fort Hood.
Oh, so Austin?
Yeah,
That's pretty close Texas wise, though, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. And I've told JT,
Yeah.
Cap, I was
Yeah.
like, the road systems in Texas are amazing. He's like, what a weird thing to gush about. but they are. It's like
No,
impossible
I
to
get
get
it.
lost in
Oh
Texas.
yeah, yeah.
Like you get
I
off the
work-
wrong exit, just keep driving. You'll go right back on the interstate. No
Yeah,
harm, no foul.
I work in
Smooth
Central
road.
North Carolina.
Smooth roads. Yeah, I have family in Louisiana, and you can tell when you hit the border. It's like bad
Texas
roads
is
in
largeable,
Louisiana.
larger than largeable. Oh my God, Texas is larger than the observable universe. Yes, it is. I love Texas. Texas is a special place in my heart. That's where I did my when I published my book and got to do my book tour. That's where I was. So I joke around that I'm still big in Texas. But I thank you both for coming on tonight. I had a really good time. Please subscribe to their channels. The links are in the description. And please make sure you hit the like button. I know people forget to do it all the time, but it's really important. You got to show the algorithm that you want to see. Words are hard. Words are hard. It's important to the algorithm that you hit the like button so you see more of this in your
Yeah.
YouTube feed. So make sure you do that. If you're new, please subscribe. Please, please, please. I'm desperate. I'm Tinkerbell, and I need your validation to survive. So do that for me. Thank you very much. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Danny. He's been Blake, and he's been Jake. Oh, it rhymes. And make sure you stick around for the next one in a week because there will be a next one.
And long live the fighters.
Long live the
Long live the
fighters.
fighters.
What deep?